At my sister's engagement party, I was 8 months pregnant. The whole family was gathered at a big hall to celebrate. I was sitting quietly at one of the tables, trying to stay comfortable because of my pregnancy, when my mother suddenly stood up in front of everyone. She held up a set of car keys and said loudly, with a big smile on her face, "This is our gift to the real bride." She then threw the BMW keys toward my sister's fiancé, who caught them and started laughing. My sister's fiancé looked directly at me and said in a mocking tone, "You can Uber to your checkups. This car is clearly meant for someone who actually matters." The entire hall went quiet for a moment. Drop your verdict in the comments before this story begins. Let's see if you're right by the end. And if you love revenge stories, don't forget to like and subscribe. My name is Lara Poole, and this is the story of how my own mother publicly humiliated me while I was 8 months pregnant, and how my husband made sure she paid for it. I had been married to my husband Ryan for 4 years. We were expecting our first child after trying for a long time. My relationship with my family, especially my mother, had always been difficult. She clearly favored my younger sister and treated me like I was less important. On the night of the engagement party, I was already feeling tired and uncomfortable. During the gift ceremony, my mother suddenly made that announcement in front of almost 80 guests. I felt completely humiliated. I slowly stood up and walked toward my mother to take the keys, thinking maybe it was some kind of misunderstanding. But the moment I reached out my hand, my mother pushed me back with force. I lost my balance and my pregnant belly hit the corner of the table hard. A sharp, intense pain shot through my stomach. I grabbed the table to steady myself as I felt something warm running down my legs. When I looked down, I saw blood. I started panicking and immediately called out for my husband, "Ryan! Ryan!" My mother and sister's fiancé were still standing there, and neither of them looked concerned. My mother even said, "Oh, please, don't be so dramatic. It was just a little push." I was in too much pain to respond. I kept calling Ryan's name while holding my stomach. Within seconds, Ryan appeared beside me. The moment he saw the blood and the pain on my face, his expression turned cold. He didn't say anything to my mother or anyone else in the hall. He simply picked me up in his arms and started walking out. Before leaving the hall, he stopped for a second, looked at my mother, and said in a low but deadly calm voice, "You just made the biggest mistake of your life." He didn't shout. He didn't argue. He just said those words and walked out with me in his arms. That night, while we were rushing to the hospital, I kept asking Ryan what he meant by those words. He didn't give me a clear answer. He just held my hands and said, "Focus on the baby right now. We'll talk later." But I could feel that something had changed in him. The man who always tried to keep peace with my family had finally reached his breaking point, and I had a strong feeling that whatever he was about to do was going to destroy my mother completely. We reached the hospital around 11 p.m. Ryan didn't say much during the drive. He just kept one hand on the steering wheel and the other holding mine tightly. I was in pain and scared for the baby, but Ryan's silence was making me more anxious. After the doctors examined me, they confirmed that the baby was still stable, but I had started having contractions. They gave me some medication to stop the labor and advised complete bed rest. I was shifted to a private room for observation. Ryan sat beside my bed the entire night. He didn't sleep. He just kept staring at the wall with a blank expression. I had never seen him like this before. Around 3 a.m., I finally asked him, "Ryan, what did you mean when you said my mother made the biggest mistake of her life?" He looked at me for a few seconds before speaking. "I've been quiet for too long, Lara," he said in a calm but cold voice.
I stayed silent because I thought it was your family and I should respect them. But after what she did tonight, I'm done. He opened his phone and showed me some documents and voice recordings. I've been collecting evidence against your mother for the past 2 years, he continued. Bank statements, property documents, and messages where she has been misusing your late father's inheritance. She's been transferring money to your brother and herself without your knowledge. There's even proof that she forged your signature on some papers last year. I was shocked. I had no idea my mother had been doing all this behind my back. Why didn't you tell me earlier? I asked. Because I knew you would try to forgive her, Ryan replied. I was waiting for the right time, but after tonight, I'm not waiting anymore. He stood up and picked up his jacket. I'm going to meet my lawyer first thing in the morning. We're filing a case against her for fraud and forgery, and I'm also going to make sure she faces the consequences of what she did to you tonight. I held his hand and said worriedly, Ryan, she's still my mother. He looked at me with a serious expression. She stopped being your mother the day she pushed you while you were 8 months pregnant. I'm not doing this for revenge, Lara. I'm doing this so she can never hurt you or our child again. Before leaving, he leaned down and kissed my forehead. Rest for now. I'll be back soon. After Ryan left, I couldn't sleep. My mind was racing with everything he had told me. I always knew my mother favored my sister, but I never imagined she would go this far. Forging documents and misusing inheritance? Around 7 a.m., my phone started ringing. It was my mother. I hesitated for a few seconds, but then answered. Lara, she said sharply, without even asking how I was. Tell your husband to stop whatever nonsense he's doing. He sent some legal papers to the house this morning. If he doesn't back off, I will make sure both of you regret it. I stayed quiet for a moment, then replied, Mom, you pushed me last night while I was pregnant. I started bleeding. And instead of apologizing, you're threatening me? She went silent for a few seconds, then said, in a cold voice, You're overreacting. It was just a small push. Stop making such a big issue out of it. And tell Ryan to withdraw those papers immediately. I felt anger rising inside me. Mom, you didn't even come to the hospital when I was in the ICU for 3 weeks last time. And now you're asking me for favors? I'm done. She laughed bitterly on the other side. You think you can fight me? I'm your mother. I can make your life hell if I want to. Before I could reply, Ryan's voice came from behind me. He had returned and was standing at the door. He took the phone from my hand and put it on speaker.
Diane, he said calmly, this is Ryan. From now on, you will not contact my wife directly. All communication will go through our lawyer. And just so you know, we have enough evidence to destroy you completely. So I suggest you stop threatening us and start worrying about yourself. My mother was quiet for a moment. Then she said in a low, threatening voice, You have no idea who you're messing with, Ryan. Ryan replied without any emotion. Neither do you. He ended the call and looked at me. She's not going to back down easily, he said. But neither am I. He sat beside me and held my hand. I've already spoken to my lawyer. We're moving forward with the case. Your mother is going to lose everything she cares about, her reputation, her money, and her control. I looked at him and asked, Ryan, are you sure about this? He nodded. I've never been more sure about anything in my life. He paused for a moment and then said something that sent chills down my spine. By the time I'm done with her, she's going to wish she never touched you that night. Over the next few weeks, my mother tried everything to stop us. She called Ryan multiple times, sometimes begging and sometimes threatening. She even sent my sister to our house to emotionally blackmail me, saying that I was destroying the family and ruining her engagement happiness. But Ryan didn't let her meet me. He had already filed a case against my mother for fraud and forgery of documents. Along with that, we also filed a police complaint for the physical attack on me while I was pregnant. Because there were witnesses at the engagement party and hospital records of my bleeding, the case was strong. My mother hired an expensive lawyer and tried to fight back. She even tried to spread rumors that I was mentally unstable and that Ryan was controlling me. But Ryan was 2 steps ahead. He had already collected messages and voice notes where she was bad-mouthing me to relatives for years. 1 month later, things started falling apart for her. First, the court ordered her to return a large amount of money she had misused from my late father's inheritance. Then, 2 of her close friends distanced themselves after the news of the case spread. Most importantly, my sister's future in-laws found out about the legal issues and started having second thoughts about the marriage. My mother completely lost control. She came to our house one evening looking desperate. Ryan didn't let her inside. She stood at the door and said, "Laura, please stop this. You're my daughter. I made a mistake that night, but you're destroying everything. If this case continues, your sister's marriage might get canceled." I looked at her from inside and replied calmly, "You should have thought about that before pushing me that night. You chose to humiliate me in front of everyone. Now, face the consequences." She tried to argue, but Ryan closed the door on her face. 2 months later, the court gave its final verdict. My mother was found guilty of fraud and misuse of inheritance. She was ordered to return a huge amount of money and was also given a warning by the judge. Because of the legal case and bad publicity, most of her social circle abandoned her. Even my sister started blaming her for ruining her engagement happiness. My mother lost almost everything she cared about: her reputation, her money, and her control over the family. One evening after the court case was over, Ryan came and sat beside me. He held my hand and said, "It's done. She won't be able to hurt you again." I looked at him and asked, "Do you think I was too harsh on her?" Ryan shook his head and replied, "No. She deserved much worse. She didn't just push you that night. She showed that she never truly cared about you. I only did what was necessary to protect you and our child." Today, almost a year has passed since that night. My mother lives alone now. She lost most of her friends and social status. My sister's marriage also got delayed because of the legal issues. She tried to contact me a few times after the case, but I never replied. Ryan and I are living peacefully with our daughter. He stood by me like a rock during the entire time. I finally understood that sometimes the person who truly loves you will go to any extent to protect you, even if it means destroying the people who hurt you. I didn't just survive that night at the engagement party. I also freed myself from a mother who never deserved me.